Let me ask you something. If we ban social media for anyone under 16, are we actually protecting kids, or are we about to create the largest underground black market since Prohibition? Because let's be honest, if you tell teenagers they can't have something, they don't go, oh, wow, thank you for the boundaries. I will now spend my free time reading classic literature and practicing my cello. No, they go, bet. And suddenly your 14-year-old's running an illegal Instagram ring like they're Pablo Escobar. Except instead of cocaine, it's TikTok accounts, burner phones, and VPN subscriptions. And the dealer isn't some shady guy in an alley, it's Ethan. Your kid's friend Ethan, who looks like he still eats crayons, but somehow has a side hustle selling fake accounts and encrypted messaging apps out of his backpack. And he's charging in V-Bucks. So today we're talking about the idea of banning social media for under 16. The good, the bad, the dumb, and the unintended consequences. And the real question, is this actually a safety upgrade, or are we just pushing kids into darker corners of the internet where it becomes even more dangerous? Because the truth is, this isn't a simple issue. Both sides have valid points, but both sides also ignore reality. And if there's one thing we've learned in modern society, that ignoring reality is basically a sport now. So first, why are we even talking about banning 16 and under from social media? Because 20 years ago, if a kid was being bullied, it happened at school, and then they came home and home was safe. Now, home is just school with Wi-Fi. Now bullying follows you home. It follows you into your bedroom. It follows you into your bathroom. It follows you into your bed at 1 a.m. while you're staring at the ceiling thinking, maybe I should just stop existing. And if you're a parent, that's terrifying. We've got teen anxiety exploding. Depression is skyrocketing. Self-harm trends, eating disorder content, sexual exploitation, grooming, radicalization pipelines, and algorithm-driven addiction. And meanwhile, adults are watching this happen. Is this normal? No, it's not normal. It's modern. There's a difference. And the platforms are not innocent. This isn't some accident. They hire psychologists. They study dopamine. They run behavioral experiments, optimize attention the way casinos optimize slot machines. TikTok isn't an app. TikTok is a Vegas casino, except instead of losing money, your kids lose their attention span and self-esteem. And what do adults do when they panic? They ban stuff. Just because banning things feels productive. It's the politician's equivalent of putting a wet floor sign next to a swimming pool and saying, safety accomplished. Now listen, I'm not here to pretend the ban supporters are crazy. Some of their arguments are very strong. Kids aren't developmentally equipped. Kids don't have fully developed impulse control. Their brains are still forming. Their decision making is basically running on trial software. So giving them unlimited access to social media is like giving a 13-year-old the key to a Ferrari and saying, just don't crash. Meanwhile, the Ferrari is on fire. Social media amplifies insecurity. Teenagers already insecure by default. That's adolescence. It's literally puberty mixed with dread. Now, add Instagram, add TikTok, add constant feeds of rich kids, perfect bodies, edited faces, influencers pretending their life is flawless, and AI-generated humans who don't even exist, and kids start believing, if I don't look like this, I'm worthless. And the worst part, even if they know it's fake, it still hurts. That's what adults don't get. Grooming and predators. This is the nightmare fuel. Predators don't need vans anymore. They don't need candy. They don't need you to help them find their lost puppy. They don't need to hang out at playgrounds. Now they just open Instagram and go shopping. And it starts innocent. Hey, you're really mature for your age. That's not a compliment. That's a warning label. Kids are being monetized. Kids are a product. And social media companies profit from kids because even if they pretend they don't, because kids shape trends. They influence culture, they influence spending, and kids influence their parents' wallets. So banning under 16s would reduce the incentive to hook them young in theory. And parents are overwhelmed. Parents can't monitor everything. They have jobs, bills, stress. And the moment they look away, their kid is watching content titled How to Become Hot in 7 Days, or Why Your Body is Disgusting, or Prank Your Friends by Ruining Their Life. And parents are like, I left you alone for 10 minutes. So a ban sounds like peace. It sounds like finally someone is doing something, and emotionally, that's powerful. Now, here's the problem. Banning social media for under 16s sounds amazing until you remember one key detail. Teens are biologically designed to break rules. It's not even a personality flaw. It's literally how they develop independence. They test boundaries, they challenge authority, they take risks. So when you ban something, you don't remove the desire, you multiply it. And then what happens? You create a black market. Yes, a literal black market, because kids will still want social media, so they'll find a way. Fake accounts, older sibling IDs, parents signing them up, friends signing them up, skins, burner phones, secret devices, third-party apps. And suddenly, instead of kids being on mainstream platforms, they're pushed into a sketchy underground version, which are worse, because those platforms will have no moderation, no safety tools, no reporting systems, no accountability, no oversight. So congratulations, you didn't remove the danger, you just relocated it. That's like banning alcohol and being shocked people start drinking bathtub moonshine. Except now, instead of going blind, kids are getting groomed on some app called Chat Boob, hosted in a basement in Berlin or somewhere. We've done this before. We've banned things humans want. And every time we ban something, it doesn't disappear. It evolves. It goes underground. It becomes more dangerous and more profitable. That's what happened with alcohol prohibition, drugs, gambling, piracy, underground adult content networks. So if you ban social media under 16, you create a demand, and a demand creates supply, meaning someone will build teen social media. And that version will be anonymous, it will be unregulated, full of scammers, full of predators, and full of people who know exactly what they're doing. Because underground spaces always attract the worst players. This is why the dark web exists. This is why illegal markets exist. Because if humans want something badly enough, they'll find it. And teenagers don't just find it, they speedrun that shit. They will bypass your ban in 15 minutes. And then upload a tutorial titled, How to Break the System, Easy Method. And it'll get 3 million views. So let's say we do ban under 16s. How do we enforce it? Because everyone talks about bans like we live in a magical world where laws automatically create obedience. We don't. Speed limits exist and people still drive like they're trying to unlock a NASCAR achievement. So how does enforcement work? Option A, apps require age verification, meaning platforms check ID. So now to use Instagram, you need a driver's license, a passport, a face scan, a retinal scan, your blood type, and your mother's maiden name. Plus a written essay titled, Why I Deserve to Post Memes. And people are like, yes, this is fine. No, this is a piracy nightmare. Because now every social media company becomes an identity vault. And companies get hacked all the time. So now your personal identity is floating around the internet because you wanted to comment LOL on a video. And once that infrastructure exists, it doesn't go away. That's the scary part, because if the government and tech companies normalize identity verifications for social media, you essentially killed being anonymous. Being anonymous isn't always bad. Being anonymous protects whistleblowers, activists, abuse victims, people in oppressive countries, people who need support without being exposed. So, yes, kids need protection, but turning social media into a digital passport system, that's not protection. That's building the foundation for surveillance. Now, option B, government blocks access. Now, we're talking censorship. Because if the government can block TikTok for minors, they can block anything for anyone. And that's when people start sweating, because that's a door you do not easily close. Then we have option C, schools enforce it. Good luck. Teachers can't even get kids to stop eating glue. You want them to enforce national internet law? No, not going to happen. Option D, parents enforce it. Parents already struggle to enforce bedtime, so that's not happening either. So realistically, a ban would mostly punish kids for following rules and empower kids who don't, which is the opposite of safety. Let's talk about the VPN generation, because adults think teenagers are dumb. They're not dumb, they're inexperienced, but they're also incredibly adaptive. Kids today are growing up with technology. They know how to bypass restrictions, how to hide apps, how to use private browsers. They know how to create fake emails. They know how to use burner accounts. They know how to erase evidence. Teenagers are basically amateur cyber criminals with acne. And here's the funniest part. Adults act like banning social media will stop kids. No, it will make kids smarter, because now they'll have motivation. A ban creates a challenge, and teenagers love challenges. They will treat this like a video game mission objective: get on Instagram without getting caught. And suddenly your kid is using VPN tunneling, encrypting messaging apps, alternate SIM cards, hidden folders, proxy servers, and you're standing there like, sweetie, can you help me connect to the printer? And your kid is like, no time, I'm hacking the government. So congratulations, instead of teaching kids healthy online behavior, you just turned them into digital smugglers. Here's what everyone misses. The problem isn't that kids are online. The problem is that platforms are designed to exploit them. We act like social media is neutral, like a hammer, but it's not a hammer, it's a machine engineered to hijack attention. If Instagram was a hammer, it would whisper, hit your thumb again. If TikTok was a hammer, it would autoplay another hammer. If Snapchat was a hammer, it would delete evidence of the hammer. So the issue isn't kids shouldn't have social media. The issue is, why are we allowing billion-dollar companies to psychologically manipulate developing brains? That's the core, because the business model is step 1, hook them young. Step 2, keep them addicted. Step 3, feed insecurity. Step 4, sell products. Step 5, profit. And we're shocked that kids are struggling? That's like feeding someone poison every day and then blaming them for getting sick. Let's talk about algorithms, because algorithms are basically raising kids now. The algorithm doesn't care about mental health. It doesn't care about safety. It cares about one thing: engagement. And what gets engagement? Not calm content, not educational content, not drinking water and love yourself. No. Drama, outrage, fear, sex, extreme. Because calm doesn't go viral. Nobody shares a video that says, nice guy, let's have reasonable expectations. That doesn't trend. What trends is, your life is over if you don't do this. So kids are being raised in an environment where emotional instability is rewarded. And adults are like, why are teens anxious? Because their entire online world is basically a 24/7 emergency broadcasting system. Now, this is where it gets dark, because social media doesn't just show kids content, it shapes their identity. Here's how the pipeline works. A kid feels insecure. They watch one video about insecurity. The algorithm says, oh, you like insecurity? Here's 500 more. Then the kid watches videos about anxiety, then depression, then self-harm, then eating disorders, then hopelessness, and suddenly their entire feed is reinforcing the worst part of their brain. And the kid starts thinking, this is who I am. Because when you see something repeatedly, your brain assumes it's normal. So the algorithm doesn't just reflect your emotions, it amplifies them, it traps you in them. And the scary part, kids don't even realize it's happening because the content feels like support. Sometimes it starts supportive, but then it becomes identity reinforcement, and then it becomes a performance. Because online, even mental health becomes content, it becomes branding. That's why you see teenagers treating trauma like it's a personality trait. Not because they're evil, but because the internet rewards it. Now, here's the part nobody wants to talk about. Some kids genuinely benefit from online spaces. Some kids' social media is the only place they feel understood, especially LGBT kids, disabled, kids with anxiety, kids who don't fit in at school, kids in unsafe homes or in isolated communities. For them, the internet isn't just entertainment, it's a lifeline. So banning under 16s could cut off support networks. And yes, the internet can be toxic, but it can also be the first place a kid hears, "You're not broken." And that matters. So the ban could accidentally harm the kids it's trying to protect, which is the most ironic outcome possible. Let's talk about what happens inside the home. Because banning under 16s doesn't just affect the apps, it affects trust. If the government bans social media, parents become enforcers, kids become rebellious, and suddenly your house becomes a Cold War bunker. Because teens aren't thinking, "This is for my safety," they're thinking, "You don't trust me." So now they hide everything, and hidden behavior is where danger grows. Because if kids can't be honest, they won't ask for help when something goes wrong. Instead of telling mom, "Hey, someone creepy messaged me," they'll hide it because they're afraid of losing access. And that's how predators win. That's how scams win. That's how dangerous situations escalate. So the ban might actually make kids less safe. Also, not all teens use social media for brain rot. Some kids learn skills, build businesses, make art, create content, educate themselves, find career opportunities. Some teenagers are making more money than adults, which is both impressive and extremely annoying. So banning them entirely may remove opportunities. And again, this isn't about pretending social media is good. It's about acknowledging reality. It's a tool, but it's also a weapon. And we need to stop acting like this solution is just taking the tool away. Here's a metaphor. Back in the day, parents worried about kids hanging out on the street corners because street corners had bad influences, drugs, predators, violence, peer pressure. Social media is the modern day street corner, except it's worse because the street corner is local. Social media is global. Your kid isn't exposed to the bad kid down the street. They're exposed to the worst people on planet Earth, and those people have unlimited access. So yes, it's dangerous. But again, banning it doesn't remove the street corner. It just pushes kids into darker alleys. Adults love blaming kids. Kids are addicted to their phones, yes, but who gave them the phones? The stork? No, parents bought the phone. Parents paid for the data plan. Parents handed kids iPads at age 3 because they wanted to eat dinner in peace. And honestly, I get it, but let's not pretend kids invented this. Also, adults are addicted too. Adults are on Facebook fighting about politics like it's the Hunger Games. Adults are on Twitter arguing with strangers at 2 a.m. Adults are on Instagram editing vacation photos like they're applying for National Geographic. So when adults say kids are the problem, kids are like, "Have you seen you?" Those of you that are older, do you remember that drug commercial where the dad comes home and the kid's all stoned and he's smoking whatever, and the dad says, "Where'd you learn how to do that?" And the kid looks at him and says, "I learned it from watching you, Dad, okay? I learned it from watching you." Same theory. Now, here's a question nobody wants to ask. If a ban happens, who benefits? Because someone always benefits. Politicians benefit because they get to say, "Look what we did for the children." It's emotional, it's a campaign win, and it's a soundbite. Meanwhile, tech companies benefit too. Because if they require identity verification, they get better data. better targeting, better advertising, better control. So the public thinks we're saving kids, and the companies are like, we're saving our profit margins. Now, let's get to the real solution part, because I'm not here to just rant. Kids are being harmed. But banning social media under 16 might be the wrong hammer. So, what do we do? Well, solution number one, algorithm transparency. If your platform is feeding harmful content to kids, you should be required to prove what your algorithm is doing. Right now, they operate like, trust us, bro. No, we don't trust you. Solution number two, default restrictions for minors. Instead of banning, make the default experience safer for minors. No DMs from strangers, no public profiles by default, no endless autoplay rabbit holes, no recommended pipeline chaos, stricter reporting tools, stronger moderation. If you want to go public, opt in. Solution number three, real penalties. Fines are a joke. These companies make billions. A fine is like charging Jeff Bezos $5 for speeding. You need penalties that hurt. Revenue-based fines, executive accountability, real consequences. Here's a good example. This was, I can't remember how many years ago, but Chase Bank was sued for charging people overdraft fees that weren't overdraft fees. They were just collecting money on poor people. And my account per se, and I'm not proud of it, but they probably took in the amount of time that this whole thing was for, they probably took about $9,000 in overdraft fees from me. And there was this big, huge class action lawsuit. And I got my settlement from Chase. They stole $9,000 from me, but they gave me $13.86. So my theory is, if you really want to teach them a lesson with Chase, they should have been told, oh, you stole $9,000 from this person, you will pay them $9,000. So make the consequences hurt. Make their pocketbook hurt. Not give them $13.86 and ignore the $9,000 that they stole. So anyways, back to it. Solution number four, digital literacy education. Not the outdated internet safety videos. Real education. Kids need to learn how algorithms manipulate them, how influencers monetize insecurities, how misinformation spreads, how predators operate, how to manage screen addiction. Because the internet is not optional. It's a life skill. Solution number five, better parental tools. Parental control right now are garbage. Either too strict or too easy to bypass. We need tools that let parents guide behavior without turning into a full-time FBI agent. Solution number six, age-tiered social media. Instead of banning under 16s, create tiers like a learner's permit. Under 13, heavy restricted. 13 to 15, limited exposure, no stranger contact. 16 plus, full access. Because throwing kids into the full adult internet is insane. So here's the smartest position. Not a full ban. Not do nothing. A middle ground. Raise safety standards massively. Make manipulative design illegal. Require child safety default settings. Educate kids. Support parents. Hold platforms accountable. Because banning social media under 16 is emotionally satisfying, but it might create more harm than it prevents. So back to the title question. Would banning under 16 social media protect kids? Or will it just create a black market? The answer, both. It would reduce some exposure, but it also would create underground behavior. It would create secrecy. It would create fake accounts, create VPN culture. It would push kids into less regulated spaces. And it would turn normal teenage curiosity into criminal level stealth. And here's the real issue. Social media is not going away. It's part of modern life. So the real question isn't, do we ban kids from it? The real question is, do we build a world where kids can exist online without being psychologically destroyed? Because the internet is here. Social media is here. kids are here too. And if we don't handle this intelligently, we're going to end up with the worst of both worlds. Kids still online, but now harder to protect, which is the most modern society outcome possible because, of course, it is. So, I want to ask you, do you think banning under 16s would actually work, or do you think it would push kids into darker corners on the internet? And if you're a parent, and a ban or better regulations and safer design? Drop your thoughts in the comment because this debate is only going to get bigger. And if we don't get it right, we're going to build a future where kids are less safe while adults pat themselves on the back pretending they fixed it. And that's not protecting kids, that's just protecting adults' feelings.